You are tuning in to the Atlanta Realtors Rundown, the official podcast for the Atlanta Realtors. We're here to keep you updated with the latest trends, topics, and keep you in the know of our ever-changing Atlanta market. We hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the Atlanta Realtors Rundown. My name is Manny Recinos, and I am very lucky that they allowed me to come back and host a very special episode of the Rundown. I am joined today by 4 of our past presidents for Atlanta Realtors Association, and we're going to be hearing the workings and the evolution of leadership from 2010 to 2020, so spanning a decade of leadership. But this is an extra special episode because we are filming for the first time live in studio with our emerging leaders class of 2024. Let me hear y'all. That is it. And that will be the last time you hear from the class of 2024 on this podcast. As I said, we are filming this very special episode and we'll be continuing our podcast here with our guests. But they're getting an inside look at how we do things here at the Rundown. So thank y'all for joining us. All right, so we are going to jump right into today's topic, and that is the path to presidency. At Atlanta Realtors, we pride ourselves on the amount and the diversity of groups and committees that we have, everything from, putting in time with government affairs to public relationships, PR, community engagement, member engagement. There are so many different paths and interests that you can exercise. And as you start working in that space and showing the leadership skills, a path kind of starts being carved, but it's not the same for everyone. So that is what we want to talk about today. And we have, I'm going to introduce all 4 of our presidents. We have President Shay Zimmerman, that was president in 2010. President Ennis Antoine, president in 2015. We have President Lane McCormack, who was president in 2016. So we have back-to-back presidencies there. And our president for 2020, Ms. Jennifer Pino. Thank you all for being here with us today. All right, we are going to jump right into the first question, and we'll start from 2010 to 2020. One of the big things we talked about, again, is the journey as president. So the first one is a 2-part question. What inspired you to take on your first leadership role at Atlanta Realtors, and what roles has that included in your journey?
I'm going to start with 2010, right, Manny?
Yep.
So I'll have to say that my journey started when somebody asked me to come along with them to an event at the ARA. I had been a top producer within the company and $1 Million Club producer and joined that committee very quickly and early on. But coupled with that was PR. So I'll have to say that we did some pretty big outreach in that first year. I was totally out of my comfort zone, had a great guide along the way, a fellow realtor, and we did something that kind of started Atlanta on its journey here, which we went to the offices that were south of I-20 that were members of ARA that had never shown their faces in this building. And we went down there and introduced ourselves, asked them why they didn't come, asked them to come and participate. And that's kind of where my journey started. But serving with that, coupled with a little politics in my life, in my blood. I served on governmental affairs, was very much an advocate for bringing on someone in the governmental affairs capacity as our own advocate within that realm. Frankie Elliott is the current person there, but worked very hard for that. And it kind of just evolved. It was a period from about 1995, of course, to 2010. That's a 15, 16-year span on many committees, never really seeking the presidency, ever, just being involved, loving working with the agents that were here, the people that I met, helped me expand my network, do my business better. And that's kind of where I've come. It's been a long time, yeah.
That's amazing. So 15, 16-year span.
Absolutely, every bit of that, yeah.
All right. Mr. Ennis Antoine, same question.
Well, thank you, Manny. My journey started here in Atlanta in 2004. When I first moved to Atlanta, I got involved with the association by volunteering for a committee. One of the things I attribute to is my parents. My father was always a leader, and he said, son, I don't care what you do in life, be the best at it. You are a leader, and let your light shine. So that resonated with me my entire career. So when I came to Atlanta and got involved in the committee, I'll never forget this. It was a 4th of July weekend. I got a call from Mike Wright, one of my best friends, my mentor. He said, Ennis, I'm going to nominate you for the board of directors. And I started shaking because I'm not a broker. I'm just a worker. I'm a top salesman. But he said, we see something in you that can help others. And Mike has been in my life the entire time, mentoring, giving advice. It was not an easy journey because I was the first person of color to serve as president of the Atlanta Realtor Association. And the journey was you have to go through certain challenges to prepare you for leadership. At the time, I'm winning right now, but I wasn't ready right now. I had to fall a couple of times, learn from no mistake, because in this role, it's a fiduciary responsibility, whereas you have to help those coming along. You have to be approachable. You have to keep in mind, it's never about you as an individual. It's about the person you are serving and what is best for the association. It is to grow. It's to leave a legacy. It's to help others grow. And in life, you're going to fall sometime. That's okay. What matters is, did you learn from that? And if you learn from that, you can help others. I served on many committees, and I've watched rock stars like Jennifer and my best friend here, Lane, because we served back to back. We was like a spouse.
Yes, my work husband.
We would bounce things off each other, and we was good for each other because we have different challenges. But at the end of the day, all of you, this is the beginning. It doesn't stop here. But I would say this, it's a lonely journey because it looks great to be here, but you don't know the story it takes to get here. And when you're in this role, always remember, what I do today, will it help the membership or is it self-serving? If it's self-serving, this is not the role for you.
Love that. Thank you so much. So yeah, from 2004, like you mentioned, was your first intro to president. It was about 11 years.
11 years.
Love that. We'll come back to some of those things you said. I love that. Thank you. All right. Lane McCormack, 2016. Will you please tell us, again, what were some of those first introductions and roles that you did on your journey?
Sure. I was very fortunate to have 2 role models very early on, and both of them were my grandfathers. And they each, in their own industries, volunteered. And so I remember my father's father, my grandfather, telling me, whatever you do, much like Ennis, be the best and get involved. That's where you'll learn from others. That's where you'll grow, and that's where you'll also learn what your comfort zone is and what it isn't. So I was licensed in 1998 and immediately got involved in another association. I did not know why I got involved other than I could hear my grandfather saying, you need to be involved. You need to learn from others. That's where you'll grow your business. And then in 2002, I had an opportunity to work in Sandy Springs for a company as a leader for that company and was asked to come and volunteer here at the association. And I will tell you this, my encouragement to all of you is to try each and every committee. You learn so much. Governmental affairs scared me to death. It absolutely did. But I learned so much through that, through great mentors like Shay, who was already heavily involved, and then Ennis, and then even having an up-and-coming president can be a great mentor to you as well. So I encourage you to get involved in all the committees. Learn what you like to do, but get out of your comfort zone and learn other things that you don't think you're interested in, but you later find out you are.
Love love that. I love that. So it sounds like your journey was about 13 years for presidency there. All right. And our 2020 president is Jennifer Pino.
Thank you, Manny. Let's see. So I was licensed in 2011, and when I first got into real estate, it was like a third career for me. And it was a big internal decision because I don't take commitments lightly. I knew if I was going to do this, I was going to be all in. So after I'd been in the business about a year and a half, I felt like I was doing all the right things. I was making traction and building my business as a sales agent, but I went to my broker and I said, I want to level up. This is my career and I want to be fully involved. How can I learn more? How can I understand more about my industry? What can I do to grow myself to the next level? And he said, you need to get involved at the Atlanta Realtors Association. So in the very beginning of 2013, I joined the fundraising committee. And that very first day, when I walked in, I met Lane McCormack and Deanne Golden, both past presidents now, but people that were just in their leadership journey like all of you at the time. And I met this year's president, Kelly Thrash. It was the first day that I met the three of them, was the first day of that committee meeting. And now she's one of my very best friends all these years later. But you know, like many committees, there were a lot of people there on that first day, but by the time the event rolled around 4 months later, there were about 5 or 6 of us that were getting everything done. And, you know, I just showed up. I did what was asked of me. I wanted to serve the committee. I wanted the event to be successful. And when that was done, and it was a success, Lane and Deanne asked me if I would chair the next year. And I was like, what? I am so new. I don't know what I'm doing. They assured me that I would be okay. They assured me that they would be there to walk me through it. And I said, well, I'll only do it if Kelly does it with me. So I teamed up with her, and we ran that committee. And then, you know, when you are there and you are giving all that you can and trying to bring more in value than you receive in payment, people notice that. And let's see, it was that year. Let's see, I was also asked that year to lead the Young Professionals Network, which had kind of not been going for a while, and Todd Emerson asked me to do that, and I just gave it my all. And it's like we said, it's a journey. So one thing led to another, and different opportunities were given to me, and it was my goal each and every time to just give all I had to it, because I felt a big responsibility for having been given that opportunity, and I wanted to see each group succeed. And along the way, I never wanted to be president, and I until I was at a point where I was fully invested. So over time, I mean, I didn't start thinking it was about me being president, but 7 years later, I was given that opportunity.
Well, I love that. Okay, so 7-year trajectory there. I love that. So let's go into the next question. What I heard is we did everything from door knocking at the brokerages to really get in touch with the membership. Getting out of your comfort zone and going into things like governmental affairs to, you know, breaking history, right? Making history at the association in some cases. Y'all were a busy group in your years of service at the board. So one of the questions that I know I've had and gets asked a lot is, how did your involvement in leadership positions within the association impact your real estate business, right? At the end of the day, this is volunteer, and we are still having to put food on the table. So what were some of the challenges you faced in your year and your current state of real estate when you were president, and how did you navigate those? We'll get started. I think we'll start on the other side. We'll start with Jennifer Pino.
So, you know, when you are here, any volunteer capacity, you're there to give back, you're there to learn and grow, but also to help serve all the people that are around you and the association. And with that in mind, you just never know who's watching, and you never know who's going to cross your path and who you're going to meet. And it was in the 2015 class of emerging leaders that I did some of those self-discovery tests about, different skill assessments and your areas of leadership. And I kind of decided during the course of that class that I might really enjoy being a broker. And so this was like my third year serving as a committee chair on different committees. And I was also at that time, by virtue of some of those positions, I had a position on the board of directors. So I had, access to other people that were leaders in the industry that I was able to make relationships with. And it was that same year that the owner of the company, which I worked as a sales agent, said, Jennifer, we'd like to talk to you. We've kind of been watching you. We've been watching you at the Atlanta Realtors Association. We have really seen you pour your heart and soul into what you're doing there, and we're proud of you, and we'd like for you to interview for this associate broker position that we're opening here in our office. And that coincided with me having the epiphany in the class at the time that I think this is something that I want to do. It really kind of was a God thing. Everything was coming together. But if I had not really put myself out there, even though that was not my goal when I started this journey, if I had not put myself out there, I would not have crossed paths with all of the people that I met, that I learned from, and had the opportunity to really shine in a way that that truly changed my career. Right now, I'm an executive vice president for that company, and I run an incredibly successful office with incredible agents, and I get to have these amazing peers that I work with, and I truly do not feel that any of that would have been possible if I had not been on the journey here at the Atlanta Realtors Association.
Wow. All right, Lane.
Yeah, so I would say a couple of things that I would share with you about leadership and what it's meant in my career. As I look at these three people, the one thing I would share with you that I have loved is that I know without a doubt I can call these folks at any time, bounce ideas, throw out things that are going on in our industry. We've had a little bit going on lately, if you think about that, and say, what's your thoughts on this? You've got this extensive knowledge. You've got, different things that you're doing and trying. So one of the things I would say about leadership here is not just specific to a year, but you're building relationships with people that you may have to call and have, a conversation about a contract or an issue that's going on. And that's a very different feeling when you know that person on the other end. I typically, and we've all talked about this before, but we have a problem. How can we work through it together? And that's one of the things I think the association has allowed us to do, is that we don't come at it from a company perspective. We come at it from we're all part of one organization. When we walk through the doors, our name tags are off, our responsibilities are off. So I've never really looked at it as advancing or updating or changing my career. I've looked at it as, how do we have enough business for all of us to work together in our industry? And I think that's something that this Realtors Association, unlike some others I participate in, has really afforded all of us to do and to have in leadership.
Love that. Ennis.
Thank you, Manny. I'm going to go old school a little bit. Do you guys remember the Kodak film, the C-110? You would snap these little pictures and you...
They don't remember.
And I'm saying that because leadership is like film. Unless you get exposure, it's not worth it. And so we'll take lots of pictures with our little portable camera and put it down. But if we didn't bring that road to the drugstore to get exposed, it was no good, correct? Well, in leadership, what it has allowed me to do is be exposed. Shay is my rock star, my hero, because she was very close to Senator Johnny Osborne. That affords me to get close to Senator John because of her relationship. And in this industry, it's about who you're next to. Don't take that for granted, because the exposure you would get will help you grow. I look around this room, I see a lot of future rock stars. I see Elizabeth way in the back row. She used to work on Capitol Hill. 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation. I said, Elizabeth, I need something from you. 5 minutes later, she sent it to me. It's the relationships that you have with each other that's going to help you grow, because you don't go far alone. You go farther with support. It's like horses. If one horse trying to pull a load by himself, you can't do it. But if two horses come together in tandem, they can pull triple the weight. This is not a journey you travel alone. It's important that those that's in your corner have the same vision that you have. And since this leadership role at the Atlanta Association, my career has blossomed from a little country boy in Louisiana to a rock star in Atlanta. Because of people like Jennifer, Lane, Shay. Now, a secret about Jennifer. While I was president, she earned the President Award from me. Because no matter what I asked her to do, she knocked it out the park. I knew if I asked Jennifer to do it, it would get done. And Lane and I would have conversation. We had a conference in Panama City. We went to see Mike Wright at a condo with Bill Rollins. Those relationships are precious. If I have a contract issue, I can pick the phone up, and we're going to talk about it like human beings and come up with a solution because of the exposure.
All right, love it. Now, rock star Shay, the setup.
Thank you, Ennis. I've never been called a rock star. Pretty cool. Been called lots of things, but not that. I think for me, the leadership was really, I did it from the passion in my heart, everything that I've done at this association, because from the day one when Buddy Weston was given the code of ethics at orientation, I felt that passion into the code of ethics and the preamble of the code. So I kind of took that to heart and kind of carried it forward as my torch. And we'll say that there were lots of relationships. My business grew because of the relationships here. I met the co-op brokers. I knew them face to face, not the way you all do it now on texting and, Instagram, et cetera. You know the people. When you know them and you can talk with them, everything goes better, right? So the relationships here are key that you make at ARA. Your involvement at those committees are key. Each committee that I participated in launched me into something else. I didn't stay in one place, Bylaws, I don't like, but guess what? Now I'm on a president's advisory group for bylaws, some 20, 30 years later. But those are just growth opportunities for you. So you get involved here, find your way, use your talents, share your talents, then you take them to a different level. GAR was something that I truly enjoy being involved in, because guess what? I learned the state of Georgia. And there is Atlanta, and then there's the state of Georgia. There's two states of Georgia, really, right? And you learn that from them. But did I get referrals from those agents that I met in the southern part of the state? Absolutely, I did, as an agent. So not the reason to participate, but certainly one of the benefits of participating, help you grow your business. I was tapped by my dear friend, Johnny Isaacson, after about 15 very successful years as an agent. He said, I need you. And guess what? You don't say no to him very easily. And I said, what you need me for? He said, well, first of all, I need you to be the NAR director for the company, because I'm going to Congress. I said, okay, Johnny. And then, of course, 6 months later, he said, guess what I need? I need you now to take over an office from one of the retiring brokers. And I said, yes, Johnny. And I did. And therefore, there was my path to do that. But that relationship was huge. I knew him, I worked for him, he respected me, I respected him. Therefore, there were lots of times that I was able to meet additional people along the way that helped the business, helped me grow personally and professionally, learned a lot about public policy, ran a very, very good statewide campaign for him, which was really Realtors for Isaacson, only because, first of all, I knew the agents in the state because I had gotten involved at the state level. We actually found a realtor in every county, all 152 counties in Georgia, that would support him and be there for every rally that he had. And he won. It was awesome. It was a wonderful experience for me. Did I do it for any reason? No, the only reason was to have a realtor in the U.S. Senate, okay? That was the goal, and we did that. So those are pathways, but leadership, and each time I was pressed and pushed to do a little bit more. Was I thinking that was my direction? No. Was I looking to be president of ARA? Absolutely not. That was not in my goal. I was very happy being a wife and a mother and a realtor and a broker to a lot of other realtors, and you just carry on that path. So you follow your path where it is, but don't be hesitant to say, I'm on that committee, but I don't think this is for me. That's fine. Go somewhere else and do some more, but stay involved, because the relationships, the cooperative nature of our business, that is so critical, is going to be more critical come July. You've got to talk with other agents. You've got to communicate. You have to be better than the other person, okay? Not about you, it's about them. So just remember that as you're going through all this. And I was actually in your role at the first Emerging Leaders, which was actually the Leadership Development Committee at ARA, where we put people on a bus and we took you down to the Capitol. You were there. You were there. You were there. Each one of you were there. Toured the Capitol and sat and talked to the local people to get involved at the state level. Because you know what? If we're not involved, then we can't complain. Okay? You can't complain unless you're going to take that a little bit of involvement. Okay?
They are involved for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Dome
Yep.
is one of the special things that you get to do with emerging leaders, and
Right.
look at that. I learned something new today too.
You didn't know that, did you?
This is great. So as we're talking, I'm hearing a lot about as you helped grow the organizations in these committees and these roles you took on, there was a lot of self-growth here, a lot of opportunity in business, in development, but that came out of the y'all being able to volunteer with us. Lane, I'm going to get started with you here in a minute with the next question. So what I would love to hear now are some specific stories that might stand out. Jennifer, I loved you sharing, even how you became, the opportunity to broker was something that came out of, right? Your leadership here. I'd love to hear some more stories. Can you share a specific instance where your leadership with the Atlanta Realtors directly influenced your business strategy, approach, or just something that stands out within that leadership year? Elaine.
Yeah, so there are two things that stand out the year that I was president. The first one is I was the fortunate president to have the very first Sunday night executive committee meeting here in our boardroom because our technology had crashed for registering for the $1 Million Club tickets for you to be able to attend the banquet or the event. And back in those days, it sold out very quickly. So I had CEOs of companies very angry. They were calling Reggie, they were calling me, they were calling other members of the executive team. And so I remember driving here for that meeting and I was like this. I mean, I really was like, this is a big deal because we've never had to actually decide how we're going to solve this problem. And what I would say is, I didn't come in with the I mentality. I came in with, we're a team. We're going to talk. Everybody around the table has a say-so of what we think would be the best way to solve this. And then collectively, we're going to come up with the solution. It was interesting. There were two people that I had known for a very long time, very close to, and they were very passionate that night. And so that passion, was a little bit, there was some controversy there. And ultimately, we ended up solving it the best way that we could. The other story I would share with you, which I think was a huge benefit to the association, is that I started as the Atlanta Board of Realtors president and ended as the Atlanta Realtors Association president. So that was the year that we made the name change, and a lot of that was some direction from NAR and some guidance there on why we should do that. But those were two very pivotal things. The other thing I want to add real quick is a little bit deviating from the question, but I just want to share this with you. I was looking in the room and I was counting how many of you are here. And there's been so many emerging leader classes, leadership development classes over the years. And I watch people who come in and they want to immediately be somebody like a vice president. And there's a real path here. And not everyone sitting in this room will be able to follow that path quickly. So my encouragement to you as you hear us talk about our journey families. Many of us are also involved in other organizations of giving back, and that allowed us to take our leadership skills that we learned and apply them somewhere else. So I've had somebody come up to me and they're like, I didn't get asked to do this on a committee. I'm like, keep going forward. And maybe you want to volunteer at your HOA, or maybe it's your place of worship, or maybe it's another entity that needs your leadership. So I just encourage anyone who's in a path to leadership, not just specific to the Atlanta Association, that you may be in a path in a different capacity, but utilize those talents where they're needed. So.
Yes, I think that's the beautiful thing about this leadership development program that ARA has developed is absolutely we want you to stay and volunteer here with us, but it's truly about the bigger picture. It's about as real estate agents and working in this industry, it's about helping in the better good, right? That is what's really at the heart of it. And being able to take these skills and take them elsewhere is very important. Thank you for that reminder, Lane. Ennis.
Thank you, Manny.
Yeah.
2015, one of my things I ran on was it's very, very important that leadership reflects its membership. And being the first to be in this role, my first task was how can we bring everybody together? So in the boardroom, I brought somebody from all the different associations of minorities, and we had our first meeting in that conference room behind us. There was a little pushback because people was a little uncomfortable, but the goal was we have to make sure that people in leadership look like the members we serve. That was not an easy task. Now I look around and I'm happy, I'm smiling, because we have grown. When I first started, it was only me every time. I made NAR Leadership Academy class in 2008. And in that photo, I showed right in that picture that other day, I was the only person of color at the NAR Leadership Academy. And I'm saying we gotta find a way to get other people involved. We have to find a way. It goes back to exposure. You're not here for you. You're here to help others. If you get an opportunity to get somewhere and you're not bringing somebody else along with you, you should not be in this position. Because it's all about the exposure and helping other folks with opportunities. I'm a big sports fan. Everybody knows. During Lane's speech, she talked about me in baseball, and she made me cry. Because I'm a baseball fan. So I use analogies that there are a lot of talents that never make it to the league. They are better than some of those players, but they never got the exposure or the right mentoring. And if you get mentored, it may not come the way you want to see it or hear it. It's like penicillin. It goes down nasty, but it comes out right.
That is a great one.
Because it's going to kill the germs and help you grow. And so people that care about you, they see the talent in you. They're going to pull it out of you. You're going to be uncomfortable, but you cannot say, oh, that's old school. Nope. You can never, ever outdo wisdom. That's why I always cling to Shay and all about who came before me, because they've seen stuff I have not seen. They don't mind imparting wisdom and putting you on the side and have a conversation. I may not like what I hear, but it's going to help me grow as a person. And so the goal always here is we are servant leaders who's here for a cause to take care of the membership. We have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that when we leave this association, we left it much better than it was before, and the next person behind us can take it to the next level. You have Joshua's and you have Moses. Moses goes so far, and then Joshua came after. Be a Joshua.
Being able to lay that ground for those that come after you is leadership, absolutely. Shay.
So 2010, was the 100th anniversary of the Atlanta Board of Realtors. Atlanta Realtors Association, we changed our name in there. If you haven't taken the time, go read those posters that are in the hallway back there. It'll tell you the history of the Atlanta Realtors. And I got to have that celebration, which was really probably the highlight of that year. But it also was 2010, which was 2 years after the financial crisis, which left a whole lot of realtors not renewing their membership, et cetera, et cetera. So we had a lot of bookkeeping to do and finessing. It helped us kind of tighten our belts and restructure ourselves for what was going to come, which took a while. We laid some groundwork in 2010 for that. Again, thanks to relationship that I have, there was a piece of legislation passed in 2013. You all probably, most of you in the room probably don't know what I'm talking about, but it was the first-time home buyer tax credit, right, which took care of a whole lot of property moving really quick and kind of set us on where we are today. So it kind of was a correction in that. So that all started in 2010. So those were the big, I want to say years for me, but I will tell you that going back to what Lane said and what Enna said, is that, we're a grassroots organization. If you ever think about what that means, it means that you all meet the client, right? You're meeting them in the neighborhoods, in the communities, whatever organizations you're a part of, and you have the potential to influence all of those people. And we hope it's all positive. But the leadership that you learn here translates there. So I love it when I see agents get involved in their HOAs, in their communities, run for political office, do whatever. Because you know the communities, you know why people live there, why they want to buy there, right? They want to raise their families there, whatever it is. That's the root. That's a grassroots organization. That is actually what makes things happen. So sometimes the leadership skills that you learn here from each other, right, and in the other organizations translate back into those neighborhoods and those communities, which we are in real estate. And we do need to realize that the reason that some communities prosper more than others is because of the involvement of people, whether it's in the schools, whether it's in the neighborhood, whatever. So don't forget that. So everything that's here, you're learning, you're growing, and you have a place to give it back. It may not be here, but I hope it's here. But if it's not here, it's somewhere else in your life.
Yes. As I've been hearing, we have adapted. We've had to kind of change a lot of our mindset and rely on others throughout y'all's experience. And Miss Jennifer Pino, this question I'm sure carries a lot for 2020. Can you tell us what stands out there?
So many things stand out for me, and that year was a pivotal year for me, just in professionally, for all of us personally, having experienced something that no one in recent memory has experienced. This whole pandemic that we all lived through. But when I am up here with three women and one man of color, something that was interesting to me coming 10 years after Shay was, even though our organization had been present and existed for 110 years at that point, I was only the 11th woman to serve. And that is in an industry that has more women than men. So I was surprised at that, but I'm very proud to see this diverse group of women and men here in this room right now that are standing up, coming forward with the desire to serve. And so I applaud you all for that. I can say that during that year, we've all heard the word pivot so many times, but really everything that I had planned for, a lot of the work your year of presidency has done the year before. All the planning, all the committee members you're putting in place. It's like a giant puzzle that is being worked and reworked. All the events that are happening that year were planned essentially the year before, and you're just bringing it to fruition under your year as president. Well, everything went out the window. And immediately, we needed to get involved, as Shay said, in a grassroots effort to make real estate to be considered an essential service. We were all, quarantined to our homes, but we had people that were in the process of moving. There was a real need for real estate services. And so through our governmental affairs director and a letter writing campaign, hitting the phones, our team was essential in getting the governor to decide decide that real estate was, in fact, an essential service. And that happened, we were contacting all the different municipalities between Brookhaven, Decatur, Atlanta, all of them here, as well as at the state level. And through our efforts, we were considered essential, and we were one of the first states in our country to be considered essential. And that was in large part due to the work we did right here at the Atlanta Realtors Association. And because of that, our economy thrived in Georgia. Other states throughout our nation that year were in a state of decline and almost like frozen and unable to move forward. There was economic hardship happening. So many businesses were closed. And I feel that the efforts we did had a far-reaching impact across our state, and we became leaders in our country by virtue of the position that our government took based on the influence that we have right here at our local association. It was very impactful for me to experience that firsthand. Another thing that was pivotal for me that year was, I've heard all of these leaders up here say that it's not about you when you're in leadership. It truly is not about you. So when I was in that position with so many things changing so quickly and had to rely on my team to help guide the direction of what we were going to do next, what was the next right thing that our members needed? And the members are there serving the public. What's the next right thing that our public needed? Our entire world was in turmoil at the time. There were riots in the streets. There were people burning cars and looting businesses across our country. There was a lot of civil rights activism happening. You all know because we lived through this together. But what I saw personally on social media was appalling to me. I saw realtors that I just was randomly connected to through Facebook and other things. I didn't necessarily know these people, but I saw people posting things that to me were not congruent with our code of ethics. So if you are saying that I ascribe to the code of ethics and I'm going to treat everybody fairly, how can you come out with a statement against an entire group of people? Then how are you then, if that is a person that you're serving in the public, how can you possibly say that you're having an unbiased relationship with them if on social media you turn around and essentially use hate speech against an entire group of people? It was very bothersome to me. And I decided that I was going to write a letter to the National Association of Realtors. I didn't know that it would actually produce anything, but I saw the need and I felt that I was compelled to do the next right thing, which was to write a letter to say that this was important, we needed to address it. And I actually am a little bit, at the time, I was surprised to see that create a momentum that actually sparked a change to our code of ethics. And it was the first change to our code of ethics in 30 years. But it did, through that year, end up that there was a change to our code of ethics that did ban hate speech from realtors. And I'm very proud that through the adversity of that year, I was able just to be a part of the puzzle, along with our team that was at leadership, to have some long-standing change for our industry.
That is wild. That is wild to hear, when you went into real estate and think that that's what you would end up being part of that change. That's, yeah. I'm listening. Growth, adaptability are just keywords that I feel like y'all carry from your experience and then while you were in presidency. And that seems like growth and adaptability both in approach, mindset, your goals, right? I mean, you had a very evolving presidency, right? And one big lesson, and you're right, with presidency is it is the work you put in beforehand. You're just executing kind of your year. And putting into motion those things that had been planned. But with yours, it really was turning it on its head. Some incredible lessons there as we hear that span of time that you were in leadership. All right, we are getting close to the end here. We could do this all day, I feel like we could keep going with the nuggets. But I want to, in one sentence, and I know this is a hard ask, in one sentence, we've been reflecting on your time as president. I want to hear what advice you would give aspiring leaders that are listening right now to the podcast, that are here in person as our 2024 Emerging Leaders class. What advice would you give aspiring leaders of this organization? And let's get started with President Ennis.
Thank you, Miguel. One sentence: focus, dedicated, servant heart, and stay consistent.
Love that. Shay, will you go next?
I keep hearing his words. I'd say take it easy, take it slow, listen, and then utilize that. Make sure your business is good before you take that step.
All right. Ling?
Mine's 2. Sorry, but real quick.
Let's do it.
When you walk through the doors, whether it's an event, anything, your company, your position outside of being a realtor is left in the parking lot. Maybe even before you get to the parking lot. That would be one. The other is promote, protect, and defend private property rights. Don't let anything sway you from that. There's a lot of distractors out there, and that's our responsibility.
I love that.
So I would say, even though you are the leader, leadership is not about you. And always strive to give more in value than you're receiving in payment.
Great.
Wow. Honestly, I've had many moments where I, as the very lucky host today, have had chills listening to y'all speak. Moments that I wanted to sit here and clap and probably be more emotional than we should here on, while we were recording. But this was a very deep conversation. I am very grateful to y'all. And with that said, I want to thank the Atlanta Realtors Rundown for inviting me back for this very special chat. Thank you to our gracious hosts that are killing it this year, and to all those that work behind the scenes to make that happen. And on that note, we will see you soon, Atlanta Realtors. Goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Atlanta Realtors Rundown. Please subscribe, and for more information on how to get engaged, check us out at atlantarealtors.com. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode.